Sorry. Now that's a line that we've all heard and said before. It's a line that we're taught to say as kids when we hurt our siblings or we take someone's toy on the playground. It's a line that we resisted saying so much because as kids, we're so incredibly unencumbered by what the rest of the world thinks of us. We're so unapologetically ourselves that the line, "I'm sorry," is the ultimate defeat. But we're taught to be polite, and we're taught that it's considerate. So how is it along the way that we begin to silence and shame those parts of us that fought so hard to be themselves on the playground? How is it that I, Emma Kypuros, have become a polite 19-year-old who shouts, mumbles, and profusely says, "I'm sorry," roughly 20 times a day? I challenge you to rethink the line, "I'm sorry." When you say it, are you being sincere and genuinely considerate? Or are you saying it out of a place of shame? In July, I broke my ankle. And in the beginning, I refused to ask for help. And if anybody offered to carry my things or hold open a door for me, I immediately apologized. Automatically, an "I'm sorry" followed by a duck of my head. Ashamed that somebody had to go out of their way and spend an extra 5 seconds holding a door. Was I apologizing for having a broken ankle? For needing crutches? That's not polite, that's ridiculous. Was I apologizing because me taking care of my ankle by being on a scooter or on crutches means there's a little bit less space in the elevator, a little bit less space in the building? Was I apologizing because I felt I was taking up more space than I deserved? Was I apologizing for taking up space? What kind of learned shame is that? One of my favorite authors, Libba Bray, asks the question, why do girls always feel like they need to apologize for having an opinion or taking up space in the world? Have you ever noticed that? You go online and if a girl leaves a post and it's longer than 3 sentences long, or she's expressing her thoughts on a topic, she usually ends it with, "Sorry for the rant," or "That may be dumb, but that's just what I think." Or have you ever been in a class and the professor opens it up to questions and someone or you raises their hand only to be called on, then immediately apologize for having a question? "Sorry, I just have a quick question." And that word "quick," which implies that our thoughts and our questions are not worth anyone or even our own time. And that kind of mindset lives in our actions and displays this deeper concern that we are imperfect and we are not matching up with the kind of perfection we should. I believe we learn this shame from an early age and not through the fault of anyone in particular, but instead we live in a society and a culture where perfection is the only option. We're taught that it's inconvenient to be imperfect. So we grow up believing that perfection is attainable and should be striven for, and if we cannot reach it, we are unworthy of time and space. But perfection is constantly being redefined and remodeled with trends, fads, and fashion, so we're constantly disappointing and shaming ourselves when we don't fit perfectly into this socially created ideal. When we don't fit perfectly inside the lines that we've drawn for ourselves. Perfection is not the norm. But this realization doesn't stop us from constant comparisons, discontentment, and fruitless efforts at the cost of our identity. What happens if we live a life apologizing for not meeting these countless unrealistic expectations? Discontentment, unhappiness, regret, and us never realizing how worthy of space we are, how wonderfully imperfect we are. Because here's the thing, we're not perfect, and that's okay. Kind of takes pressure off the entire idea, living a perfect life, not making any mistakes. Because our most imperfect qualities are the things that our loved ones cherish most about us. Our goofy laughs, dad quality jokes, and socially awkward tendencies are all the things that make us who we are. We are different. We are imperfect. And we are much, much more than what we're told we're capable of. Stop apologizing for being yourself. Take into consideration who you are. Because the people who love and made you would never want to hear you apologizing for the way you look, talk, or act. And you would never want to hear them apologizing for those things either. Furthermore, you would never be friends with someone who talks as terribly to you as you do to yourself. Am I right? Yeah. So erase "I'm sorry" from your vocabulary. Stop apologizing out of politeness and for the courtesy of others. It's this mindset that encourages the idea that we should feel shame for simply being. But we're not here to apologize. So I challenge you to live outside the line "I'm sorry." Own your actions and your quirks. Be bold. Stop saying sorry for a day, a month, a year. Apologize when you need to, when it's sincere. But don't give apologies out like samples at the grocery store. Replace the line "I'm sorry" with the line "thank you" when you can. Be gracious to others and to yourself. Because you are the only person in this world who gets a shot at being you. Nobody else. So take advantage of that. Embrace your imperfections and be that kid we all were on the playground. Unapologetically yourself. Be bold in your actions. Find strength in your imperfections. And say thank you. Thank you.